So, I'm a Zoomer. I was born in 1997, which means I was naturally a big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I had some toys, of course. I saw those nightmarish 90s movies, and my main connection to them came from the 2003 cartoon. This was the coolest shit ever to 6-year-old me. Right alongside Power Rangers, Teen Titans, and whatever the fuck this was. They did the Akira slide, come on man, this show was cool as hell. As the years went on, I still liked the Turtles, but I started liking lots of different things, so they kinda took a back seat. Then in 2014, the Turtles got a new live action movie, which I heard about but didn't watch right when it released. At some point though, I did end up watching it, and at the time I think I enjoyed it, but that was almost 10 years ago, so I don't really remember. I recently watched the new animated movie, Mutant Mayhem, and really enjoyed it. The vibes in that movie were sublime. Also, the most important thing that happened recently with the Turtles was them being put into Fortnite.
I said right foot creep, ooh, walking with that eater.
With all this turtle commotion going on, I remembered those Michael Bay films and thought to myself, were those really that bad? Maybe I should watch those again. So, that's exactly what we're doing today. Let's find out. Are the Michael Bay TMNT movies really that bad? Yes, they're bad. I clickbaited you. Gotcha. Wait, please don't click off the video yet. Wait. So yeah, these movies aren't great. But let's talk about why they aren't great. The first movie begins with not the Ninja Turtles. I mean, sure, we get this little comic book intro that is way more stylized than the rest of the movie, but the first 20 minutes doesn't have any turtles. Yeah, I guess their silhouettes are there, but the start is just the Megan Fox and Joe Bluth movie.
Okay. So should
I do like the investigative stuff that April's doing. I feel like that's accurate to the character that I know. Her wanting to report on something important and helpful is nice to see. Unfortunately, that doesn't really stick around in the next movie. While April is investigating, she runs into the Foot Clan, and that leads us to finally see the Turtles. And they look...
What? It's just an ordinary... Oh my goodness!
I think their designs all have some good and bad elements. I've seen people mention Raph's like full head mask instead of just the bandana around the eyes, and I agree that that look works well for his character. He's the rough guy, so he would probably need a mask that has even less of a chance of falling off. Although, now that I think about it, why do they even wear masks? I know it's to differentiate them by colors, but it's not like they have secret identities. Oh, I guess that's why they wear them. Going back to the other designs, Mikey's sunglasses and little surfer necklace are cute and fit his vibe. Donnie's headgear and backpack thing aren't very ninja-y, but they also work for all the technological things he does throughout the movies. And I personally really like any design where he has glasses. I think it's another cool way to distinguish him from his brothers. And Leo looks fine, but he has this weird-ass stick chest plate. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. It looks very out of place. Luckily, they get rid of it in the second movie. So their designs are all fine, and their personalities match pretty well. I just feel like the movie surrounding them feels off. It feels like some generic superhero movie from the 2010s. Saturation is low, like no colors pop out, and one big thing that bugged me for the whole movie was the music. For the whole movie they talk about the Wu-Tang Clan and making their own hip-hop albums, but the only music played in the background for a majority of the movie is the most boring superhero music. At one point I thought to myself it sounded like Iron Man music, and that actually makes perfect sense because the composer was Brian Tyler, who made the Iron Man 3 score just a year before. And that music's actually pretty good, so I don't know why TMNT sounds so generic. The only musical moment I actually like in this movie is when they're in the elevator and start beatboxing. That shows their fun personalities and how they all love music. If only that scene could have led into a fun song that could have enhanced the following fight. Instead we just go back to the boring and generic score. Aside from that, the movie is filled with more generic stuff. Action you can't follow, forgettable villains, and the patented Michael Bay spin. Even Shredder, a character with a pretty easy design, gets turned into a chrome monstrosity. Aside from the Turtles, there's really not much I liked about this movie. I don't even fully like them either. Leo being voiced by Johnny Knoxville just feels weird. Mikey's creepy sexual jokes make me uncomfortable.
Oh, she's so hot I can feel my shell tightening.
we can hear you.
I wish I didn't hear that. And none of them really do any cool ninja stuff. The coolest thing is Donnie's bow staff. That's the only weapon that they use in any unique way. Like in the snow action scene when he slingshots Raph. That shows some personality and makes me happy to watch the brothers working together. But that's like one of the only times they do something fun like that. They don't have time to show you cool ninja stuff because they have to remind you that Megan Fox is hot by showing you her entire ass in the same sequence. I sure hope you guys didn't forget that Megan Fox is hot, because this movie is certainly going to remind you. Honestly, this movie reminded me a lot of the Amazing Spider-Man films. In this movie, April actually saved the turtles from the lab explosion, so it's kind of like destiny that they would meet. But in every iteration I remember, they're just random turtles that get hit with the ooze.
Ooze. It's nice, right?
So this thing with April almost being destined to create them feels similarly to how Andrew Garfield was destined to be Spider-Man. Another story where it's more interesting if it's just a random accident. Also, Shredder's plan is to put some gas thing on a big tower and they have to fight on the roof before the gas can go off and infect New York. Ringing any bells? See why I think it's just copying superhero movies from the 2010s? I don't know, man. I don't have too much to say about this movie. At least it ends with a licensed song like I wanted for the rest of the movie. It's that Lovin' Nobody But You song. What's the name of that again? It's Happy Together by the Turtles. Get it, guys? This movie has some stuff I like, but overall, like I've said multiple times, it feels too generic. It feels like a TMNT movie made by people who watch like one episode of a cartoon with their kids and saw how popular the MCU was at the time. I don't think this is too terrible, but it's not something I'm gonna watch or remember anytime soon. For me, it's a 4 out of 10.
The vigilante. I saw him. I saw them. I saw them. And I've known them since I was a little girl. They were my pets. They were my childhood pets. And they were named after Italian Renaissance painters. Mom, I want to move back home.
That's actually a good line because that would be the right way to react. So I bet you'd think the next movie's going to be just as bad or even worse. But I actually like Out of the Shadows. Now, it's no Dark Knight or Empire Strikes Back, but I think it does improve in some areas. And gets worse in others, but I feel like I can ignore that a little easier now. With this second movie, we actually start with the Ninja Turtles in the Ninja Turtle movie. How do they do it, folks? We get a lot more personality out of them, and they seem to just be having fun. We even get these little title cards that I think are cool to have. It's still a little messy visually with these close-ups and stuff, but the turtles actually have some more life to them, so I can overlook the iffy visuals. The boys are at a basketball game, and meanwhile, April's looking for Baxter Stockman, who's a character that's usually pretty important in turtle stories. And we actually get some licensed music in this one, but it's just for this sexy slow-mo Megan Fox scene. Don't forget she's hot, okay? Don't you dare. Then we move on to more fun turtle scenes, and Mikey has some actual character to him this time, because he wants to go out into the real world and fit into society. I don't know how often that's used in turtle stories, but it feels kind of common. However, I'm perfectly fine with this since last movie's Mikey was just a horny little freak. There's a fun scene where he goes to a Halloween parade and he runs into Bumblebee, whoa, Transformers, like the other Michael Bay movie, holy. The scenes back in the sewers are all nice, and I gotta point out Leo's new voice actor because he fits much better to me. Johnny Knoxville was very distracting. Maybe that's because I know who he is and I couldn't really ignore his voice in the first one, but this guy feels much more natural to me. We then run into some more well-known Turtles characters with Bebop and Rocksteady, and they're very silly. I can see how people will get annoyed by these goofballs, but I personally think they're good comic relief, and they aren't that annoying.
And to think, the entire universe, it all started with the Big Bang.
Yeah, Beeps? Well, I got a big bang for you.
Well, I did say not that annoying. Then we also get a scene with Krang, who is yet another Turtles character that's in a lot of stuff. I noticed throughout this movie that the first one had like barely anything to do with the Turtles. It was mostly the April and Vern show, but this second movie almost has an overload of Turtles characters. Baxter Stockman, Bebop and Rocksteady, Shredder, Krang, Casey Jones. Oh yeah, Casey Jones. Let's talk about him. So I haven't seen Stephen Amell much. I never watched Arrow, and I can't remember anything else he's done. But this movie is not a good indicator of his talent.
Thanks for your statement, Jones.
That's Officer Jones. And I'm gonna be a detective someday.
I hope he's better in other things, because I don't think he's doing the best job in this movie. Good thing we had Laura Linney to pick up the slack, because she was going crazy in this role for absolutely no reason.
I have jurisdictional authority.
You forfeited jurisdiction, and you proved to be an authority on nothing when you lost 3 convicted felons in one night. You're jealous. That's what this is about, because you can't keep up with me. No, you can't. You can't keep up with me.
The actual main plot of the movie is nothing really that special. Shredder wants to take over the world, and when he meets Krang, he still wants to do that, just now with this little brain man's help. The smaller stories we get with Mikey and Raph wanting to be human, while Leo's being a dick to them, is much more interesting to me. It is kind of a generic idea. Creatures that would scare humans want to become humans so they could fit in, but again, I like it more than anything in the first movie. This at least allows for a little bit of character development, like Leo learning to listen to his brothers, Mikey and Raph learning to be patient, and all of them learning to trust each other more. I can't really say that any other characters in the movie get much development. None of them really change except for the Turtles. Everyone else just sort of follows the hero's plot, or the villains all wait for Krang to show up. At least that works for someone like Bebop and Rocksteady, who are just there for fun.
Get ready to take a trip, boys. You're going to Brazil.
It has fish in it, and it's...
Going back to visuals, I think the action in this one is more enjoyable. It's still not great, but I personally like it more. The skydiving / plane scene is fun, and the floating down the river bit with the surfing tank is absolutely insane, but I'd rather see something fun and nonsensical like that instead of more of the Transformers ass action from the first movie. The unfortunate thing is that they keep cutting back to the boring humans whenever there's action that I enjoy. I think the fight against Krang at the end is kinda cool, but it's really jarring when we go from something that's basically fully animated like that to Vern and April wandering around a warehouse. I guess that kind of sums up my feelings as a whole in this movie. I like the turtle stuff a lot more in this one, and while it's not perfect, I personally enjoy it. But the stuff with April, Vern, and Casey is so much more uninteresting this time around. I think as a film, this is like a 5 out of 10. However, in terms of personal enjoyment, I'd say it's more like a 6 or a 7. I think I'd enjoy these movies way more if they focus solely on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What a crazy concept, right? If we got to see more of their individual journeys, we got villains that actually had personalities, and if we got a consistent artistic vision, instead of them cutting back and forth between live action and CGI, I think that'd make a pretty good movie. Oh wait, that exists. And it's called Mutant Mayhem. Now that's a good Turtles movie. That one gets an 8 out of 10. Maybe even a 9. Go watch that instead. Even though I didn't like this iteration of the Turtles that much, I realized that I still love these characters a lot. Watching these made me want to watch the rest of the Turtle movies too, because I don't remember those much. Maybe that could be a good idea for another video. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I plan to try something a little different for my next video, so I hope you'll stick around for that. See you then. Hey there, thanks again for watching. This video took a little longer to make than I wanted, but I got dragged into finally playing Lethal Company, which you can go watch on my second channel, and I also accidentally got addicted to Baldur's Gate 3 again and did another 50-hour playthrough. Also, of course, it was the holidays, so I was busy with family here and there. Speaking of, I hope you all had a nice holiday season and that your new year's off to a great start. I just started some new classes, so I'll be a little bit busier, but I'm going to do my best to keep making some fun videos. As I said already, my next video is going to be something new for me, so it might take a little longer, but I'm going to start working on it very soon. And I'd like to edit some highlights from the Lethal Company gameplay I mentioned, so I can upload that while I work on the big video. I also recorded the first episode of my rebooted podcast where I recapped what I was up to in 2023. If you'd like to listen to that and hear more about my plans for the future of Ocean View, please go check that out in the podcast section. Feel free to let me know what you think of the video, and I hope you check out more of my stuff if you're interested. See you around.